In fact, we are now located at an extraordinary moment in history, somewhat similar to 1914, but far more important than 1914. 1914, they calculated that they were ready to bring about great change in the world. And so they engineered Sarajevo, the assassination of the Grand Duke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo in the summer of 1914. And they closed down the Kimberley diamond mines in Kimberley in South Africa in 1914 because Rothschilds had already amassed enough money to fund every single side of a world war. And as a result of 1914, the war which commenced, the world was changed. But we are now located today at a far more momentous moment in history. Israel wants to attack Iran. It can happen any day now. The United States of America is resigned. You cannot stop Israel. The United States knows that once Israel attacks Iran, Iran is going to attack United States troops in Iraq. The United States knows that once Iran attacks the United States in Iraq, the United States will not have a single friend in Iraq. Not one. And so the United States will not be able to fight a successful war against Iran in Iraq. That's why they pulled out of Iraq so suddenly, like a thief in the dark. And to cover their shame, they're saying, we're sending troops to Israel. We're sending troops here and there. That's dust in your eyes. They have pulled out of Iraq because they know they cannot fight Iran in Iraq. That's why. As soon as Israel attacks Iran, and Israel knows it, and the United States knows it, and the Federal Reserve knows it, as soon as, and Wall Street knows it, as soon as that attack takes place, within hours, is it so difficult to understand what's going to happen to the price of oil? Is it so difficult to understand what's going to happen to the price of gold? This is a more momentous event in history than 1933. Oh yes, and then 1971. As the price of oil and the price of gold skyrocket, it's actually the dollar going down into the garbage bin. And because the dollar is linked to every other currency in the world today, it is the international currency, prices around the world are going to escalate. And I am supposed to speak today, how should we respond? The rich can survive, but what about the poor? What about the masses who can no longer afford to buy food, who cannot afford to pay electricity bills? How are you going to survive? Not only that, but isn't it strange that for the first time in history, an economic system has drawn the villages out to the city, attracted the villagers out into the city, forced the villagers out of economic necessity to the city. And so you now have, for the first time in human history, something called mega cities. We used to think that 1 million people in a city, my gosh, that's a lot of people. But wake up. Lots of cities in the world today have 10 million. And some have 15 and some have 20 million people in a city. And when wars take place, because the attack on Iran is not meant to knock out Iran. Not at all. The attack on Iran is meant to provoke a series of wars which are going to last for some time. Cities are going to be attacked. How? Supply of food, the food chain, the supply chain, water. How are you going to survive in the city when you cannot get food? You have the money to buy the food, but the food is not there. Because the food is delivered from outside of the city. Food is not grown in the cities. And the water comes to you from outside. And if the enemy is successful in disrupting the water mains through which water is conveyed, the electricity supply and the supply of food, and people are starving, would you have riots? Would it not be dog eat dog? So even if you have some food, it'd probably be snatched from you before you could reach home. How do we respond to what is about to take place? I want to offer to you a micro response, and then even more importantly, a macro response. Survival depends on retreat from the megacities, which we didn't have yesterday, and we don't need today. Retreat from the megacities and ensure security of food and of water. The two things you cannot live without. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with an Islamic scholar asking you to ensure food security and water security? If you can do it in downtown Karachi, well, go ahead. But I am seeing a tomorrow which is coming when there are going to be riots in Karachi because you can't get food into the city and you can't get water. So before that day comes, we say retreat to the countryside. Secondly, we say produce your own food. I spoke about sexual terrorism. Who fights wars? Allah didn't create women to fight wars. No. Allah created men to fight wars. I don't know whether Washington has a problem with that. Allah created the male to fight wars. And He gave to the male the obligation to protect and to guard women. And so it is men who fight wars. But when you inject the cows with hormone injections, and the milk that your baby drinks now has the hormone injections, and the meat that your baby eats has hormone injections in it, and the food that you eat is genetically modified. So it's not enough to ensure your own food security. You got to ensure what is the food you're eating. If tomorrow you want men to fight against oppression, that manhood, that virility, that courage comes partly from food. And so we say, do not eat their food, produce your own food. In the micro communities in the remote countryside, we also have a means of escaping the monetary predicament. Because once the US dollar collapses, that's almost certain that the new money that's coming, it's already here in fact, is electronic money, digital money. And when you're hooked into that, it's the equivalent of a financial Guantanamo. If you're comfortable with that, fine. But if you want to remain faithful to Allah and His Messenger, and even have 5 ringgits worth of respect for your own rational faculty, you'd want to return to true money, to real money. And so you want to return to the dirham and to the dinar. In our market, we will not permit that paper currency, which is bogus, which is fraudulent, which is utterly haram, but Tabligh Jamaat is not interested in that. In our micro markets, we will restore dinar and dirham. That's our answer. And if we have a shortage of dinar and dirhams in our micro market, we'll use commodities of food as money. And we will not allow paper currencies to be used in our market. So we do not have to be bothered about the fluctuating value of the silver coin in relation to your bogus money. No, because they're not side by side in our market. Our market is only dinar and dirham. We also want to ensure that society which is collapsing around the world is brought back together. That the Chinese and the Malay can live together in our kampung and be so friendly with each other. No more hostility between Chinese and Malay. If you can do it, go ahead, let's see you do it. I don't think you can do it, but we can do it. That the Christian and the Muslim and the Hindu can live together as a fraternity. We can do it. Because we will live with mutual respect for each other, and in our market, the Muslim has no advantage over the non-Muslim. No. And in our market, there are no fixed prices, no price control, no. In our market, if you plant, you reap. And if you don't plant, you don't reap. That is Islam as we know it. So in our market, we will have economic democracy. And that economic democracy will allow the Chinese and the Malay and the Indian to live together, the Christian and the Hindu and the Muslim to live together as a fraternity. But we have to restore Islam in our community. And in Islam we have certain concepts like the Jama'ah and the Amir. The sheep cannot be without a shepherd. All the sheep wandering all over the shopping malls. And the wolves eating them up one by one. You see them in the tight blue jeans. Huh? But in our village we enforce the deen. This is a no-nonsense Islam here. In our village we enforce the deen amongst our people. The Chinese will have their way of life, the Indians will have their way of life, the Christians, the Hindus. We're not going to interfere in your way of life. But we must come together to have certain norms of public conduct for everybody. So you're not going to be walking around with a bottle of beer on the main street? Huh? Or your daughter or your sister, your wife in hot pants? No, not in our village. Certain norms of public conduct. The macro response is more important now. Where we do have control over territory, we have an obligation to build power to respond to them. Because we know the attack is not only economic, we have the big picture. And Allah has commanded in the Qur'an, وَأَعِدُّ لَكُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُ وَأَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُ مِنْ قُوَّةٍ وَمِنْ رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. Build power. Build it to the maximum extent possible. Not so that you would use power to oppress. No. تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ عَدُوَّ اللَّهِ وَعَدُوَّكُمْ, so that your power may function as a deterrent. And if nuclear power is what will cause them to step back before they attack, then build nuclear power. Build it to the maximum extent that you can build it, that it can function as a deterrent. Pakistan has already done it. It is time for Iran, which will do it immediately Iran is attacked. Iran is going to announce it is pulling out of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty as soon as it attacks. And Iran has every right to build nuclear power, nuclear weapons, because Allah has commanded in the Qur'an, build power to the maximum extent that you can possibly build it.